He's like, what? You don't know which one? He goes, let me Google this quick. And we're like, that wasn't in there. Can't say it was. Any particular reason to do that college team?
This one?
That's the brand.
Brand Fire. That's the closest that we can match.
Looks very nice. I like your column front there.
These ones here, these are just the age groups that we found. Yeah. So we did it based on most of them were gender. And then the biggest ones that we found were the device that they signed up with. Yeah. So that was the only ones that were provided to us. So we had a couple more that we thought more beneficial to have. We'll save that for the Christmas.
Yeah.
And we even have some SEO on there. You know, we'll find Facebook and marketing.
How cool.
Things like that.
So we're friends with
Oh, I like your top choice too.
Yeah, I tried to match so many times. I have all the ties. I only have one shirt. That we put, yeah. We were tired.
Yeah.
You wrote on there. And then you wrote that you came close to writing on it with the shirt as well.
That's okay. That's what you did. I know, I was short. Yeah.
So that's also.
Integrity's now.
Yeah, there is. Like, I went in there.
Just your
Yeah. There you go. I know. That's what we do too. That's where we got all our stuff. Yeah. Did you skip it? Someone.
Are they doing kind of like
I know. Yeah, it's not like.
Oh, did you?
It goes to them, you know.
That was
I guess yeah, that was about like graduation. I know. That was they were, no, I don't think they did about it because when we went to buy stuff, the manager was like, "Oh, so many people have been coming in to buy this stuff," and we're like, "Yeah, it was like it's like our
So they're probably like, score for this?
Yeah.
Like promotion. Yeah. Absolutely. Should have played it off.
Yeah, it's like we knew it was gonna be the before.
Yeah, no, for the like.
Oh.
I am so.
We would have been right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go for that. And I also watched it. Thursday, Friday. So I'm so excited about yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna get started here. I am Michael with Hijack. I teach in the business department. I teach a couple of the BI classes, and you're gonna hear a presentation based on the work we do in that program. I've got some brochures if you're interested in what we do with this program. But we've got Taylor and Brad today talking a little bit about one of those new industries that pops up, Airbnb, that kind of stuff. So they got some good stuff for us. Show us yours.
Sure. Thank you for coming this afternoon. Like Professor Tadchik said, I'm Brad. This is Taylor, and we're here to present today Airbnb's new user bookings, kind of their analytics and intelligence that we found to essentially help them predict where users are most likely to make their first booking.
So a little background on Airbnb. It is a hospitality service that allows people to lease or rent short-term lodging. That includes vacation and apartment rentals, homestays, hostel beds, or hotel rooms. Airbnb also has over 3 million lodging listings. So what's the problem? Airbnb is in over 34,000 cities across 190 plus countries, and they want to make sure that they are effectively allocating resources to the cities with the highest demand. That being said, they want to have more personalized content with those communities. For new users, they want to decrease the average time to book the time for booking, as well as they want to better demand the forecast.
So where we started to get with this was first it came with a lot of data collection. We were fortunate enough to find that Airbnb had provided us with nearly 250,000 records of first user bookings. And the first step was to go through these records, as not all of them were full of the information that was necessary for us. A lot of things were left blank. Some ages of new bookers were up in the 120-year-old range, which we found kind of hard to believe that they would be booking their first Airbnb. There were certain things in the genders that some of them were actually the names of dinosaurs, not male or female. So we spent quite a bit of time going through all the records and finding the pertinent data that would help get us a result that we would like. So we took it down from about 250,000 records to about 64,000 that we found would be the best conclusive evidence to help us get to where we were going. And that's part of the data mining and data cleansing process, and that's essentially taking large amounts of, we call it dirty data, and making it clean so that we can put it into a model that we would then build to help predict where we feel these people would make their first booking. So to do that, we decided to make an ensemble model, which is essentially taking like characteristics and unlike characteristics and weighing them, giving them different weights to get to our results. So we'll show in the model here shortly the different variables that we found, then the weights that they carried with them, which led us to our evaluation. So as you can see here, this is our model. Up top we have several different variables. Even though there's many more listed here, we came up with 9 ranging from their male or female, age demographic, the basic sign-up method, as far as to what browser they used to make their booking, the device that they first booked it on, which ranged from their smartphone, iPad, a Mac, as far as Windows desktop or Mac desktops. And after running our model, these coefficients up here show us the strength at which they helped prove the model. So obviously the green ones brought a stronger strength and the red ones brought a lesser. Now to get all this data in here to calculate it, we had to take it from words and put it into binary numbers, where ones correspond with yes, that's how they did it, and zeros correspond with no. So that again took a lot of time to go through in order to get it into this method. After running this several times, this was the country that was booked by them. However, we wanted to narrow it down even more. We were given which ones they booked to try and test it. And our model ended up being inconclusive as we were looking for certain linear projections that would correspond with a specific country. Because we had 12 different countries, only one in North America and the rest ranging throughout Europe, it was very hard for us to find a range at which countries would fall within their coefficients. So therefore, we kind of had inconclusive results, and then I also came up with a couple recommendations that could help to improve our model. But we were able to still draw many different conclusions from this data, which Taylor will take you through.
So here we have a dashboard, and this will allow Airbnb to use this specific data when it comes to how do we market, how do we use this data to get more users or more first users. So what we did here is I can click here on females, and we can say how they use an Android phone, and obviously that would be an Android process. So now we're breaking it down here, and they can say, well, this is how many are doing it. We're looking at bookings by device, coming out here to 3. And now they can say, well, that's not that many. Let's look somewhere else, because why would we market towards, say, androids or to more females based on this? So that's how they would use that information. And they can use that going based on males. They can use Windows, they can use Mac, and then they can go based on the software based on iOS, maybe mobile web or web itself.
Yeah, so it's all interactive, and this is kind of a way that Airbnb can use it as a deeper dive to kind of get, what demographics they're looking at, what countries they're looking at, and get an exact number, go back and rebuild their model, and then this will automatically populate once that's been run based on the data set. So you can get more of a visual gauge, much like we're presenting to you today, so you can visually see, like for instance, the most of the booking ages come between the ages of 20 and about 36, and much to our surprise, the female booking was a little bit higher than the male booking across most ages. Some other ones that we feel would be most beneficial to Airbnb was their booking by affiliate channel. So this is where people are first seeing the advertisements for Airbnb. So as you can see, most of it's direct contact, which is coming right from their website. People are going right there. They know pretty much what they're looking for. Other things that they could be spending money on is their SEO is another big one. So their search engine optimization, when you type in, looking for a place to rent or things like that, Airbnb will come up first. Because that's such a small piece of that pie, maybe they need to spend more money on that to get more people drawn into. And then there's certain things like what search engine were they finding it? A very small percentage were finding it on Facebook, which is a very, very large social media platform that runs a lot of search engine optimization also. So somewhere they're falling short in their communication to be able to grab those people and those users that are on those platforms. So from there, we came up with a couple recommendations on how they can improve. A couple things that we would have liked to see is the date booked. The information that was given us was the date that their profile was created. So it wasn't necessarily the day they first booked it, but when it was created. The number of people that were staying. We would feel would impact, usually if we could deduce maybe it was, if it was 2, maybe it's a couple going. If it's more than 4 or 5, maybe it's a family traveling. Another thing is their transportation method. Did they book airline tickets? Did they drive? Did they ride their bike there? All those things, because that could also lead into them maybe working up with places that do like Orbitz or those online places that do bundles, where if you book your hotel and your flight, you get a deal. And then another one is their length of stay. Are they staying for a weekend or are they staying for a long period of time? All things that can be used to more accurately predict. Usually, if you're staying for a weekend, we would figure most people aren't traveling internationally out of the country unless they're going from one place to another. And again, that would tie in with helpfully knowing what kind of transportation that they were taking. And with that, are there any questions? Yep.
So you guys had dirty data, right? You had like 200,000, you narrowed it down to 60,000.
Yep.
So what do you do with all that data that you didn't process? Is that just neglected?
So what we do is we call it quarantining. So we'll go through and we'll filter it out and we'll actually cut it out of the data set that we have and put it into another file with the same headings and things like that. So if we need to put it back in or we missed it, it's in a separate place. But by taking it out and putting it into a separate file, it keeps the file that we're currently working in smaller, so it doesn't take, it's easier on the computer to run things and put out our answers. Yes?
You mentioned several variables at the end there that might have strengthened your predictive power, which is, you answered my question before, I even could ask it, thank you. But I'm also wondering along the same lines, are there any variables that you might have been given in this data set that you would slash or take away that could add more predictive power to your model? Is there perhaps multi-collinearity between some of the, the Android device that they use for booking and the Android device that they use to set up their profile?
Yeah, I think there was some similarities between whether or not they used a laptop or a phone and with the service they were using. So the iOS software, that I think that's pretty identical. And I think when I mean, some people don't even know exactly what the software is on their computer, their phone for a matter, so maybe that made it a little less accurate too.
Yeah.
Yes, Jay?
What was the most difficult part of this project?
There was many difficult parts. For myself, the hardest part was actually running the model because there was so many different variables and records that we had. We'd find ourselves sitting and waiting around for 45 minutes to an hour while it tried to give us an answer. So that was kind of frustrating and almost brought us to the point of wanting to break a couple computers. But we withheld that.
Yeah, another difficulty was cleansing the data. Normally when Brad and I cleanse data, we have our own separate files. We're given our own separate files to work on. This time we had the same file we had to cleanse, so we had to work on either taking turns and having good communication to make sure that our field names are the same, that the data is under the same names. We have to make sure that we're not deleting things that we shouldn't be deleting. So you couldn't just throw this $250,000 or 250,000 rows of data and throw in a Google Doc and work on it together, because we probably would have been very frustrated and it would have crashed, and yeah, starting all over is not fun at that point. So I think that was another difficult part.
Yeah.
Where did you guys get your data from?
So we actually pulled it from a website that does data analytics competition called Kaggle. And this was actually a competition on there where they wanted their users that to submit their results, and actually I believe they take the top 3 finalists, and the top 3 finalists are actually awarded a job interview to be part of their predictive analytics department. So unfortunately we picked one that closed over a year ago, so we won't be able to submit it, but we like the data set, we like the challenge that it brought, and we definitely thought that we could easily apply the things that we've learned in the classroom to give us a result, or hope to get us as close to results as we would have liked.
How did you choose Airbnb, or was there like any other factors that you were deciding on a topic for?
There were a couple. We had it narrowed down to a few. Originally, both being athletes, we wanted to go down the sports route, but we couldn't necessarily agree which way we wanted to go. So as times got near, we had it drawn down. There was a couple. There was Airbnb. We had crime statistics in Chicago over the last 10 years, and that one was interesting to us, but being from Chicago, I kind of know what it is already. So I wanted to go somewhere else. And the Airbnb one, it kind of just stuck out to us because it's such a new company, and especially with people in our age demographic, it's very well known to them. So we figured it would be easiest relatable to our audience and to us working on it as well.
It also helped we used Airbnb about 2 weeks before we picked the project too, so that kind of helped us.
And that was our first booking as well. So we were kind of interested, if we can get this to work and put our inputs in it, would it actually tell us or put us close to where we ended up booking? Anything else? Well, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Right?
Oh, it's just a case on top. I thought there was like a